All right, good morning from Copenhagen, Denmark. I'm here at the railway station just outside of Tivoli Gardens, and Tivoli Gardens has one of the longest lines I think I've ever seen, stretching on about 2 city blocks just to get into the park. So it's definitely busy here today. I'm going to start a day of sightseeing here in Copenhagen, but can't believe this line. It's probably 1,000 people long. So I got about 6 hours or so, 7 hours, I guess, here in Copenhagen to take a look around the city. This is my second visit here. The first time I was here was in 2015, just for a day in Copenhagen as well. So I kind of know my lay of the land, but I'm going to try to hit a few spots that I wasn't able to hit on the last time I was here, but also go back to some of the same spots I was, just to give you guys a sense of the best of the city. So here goes nothing. Pretty charming European capital. They have these horse-drawn carriage tours. Really cool architecture. And right over here is the Radhuspladsen. I'm saying that in German because I'm not sure of Danish. But this is the City Hall Square right here, the heart of Copenhagen. And that is the old City Hall right there on the right, the Radhus. You can hear the bells going off right now, the 12 p.m. bells right now. And right here is the start of the Stroget pedestrian street, which starts right here at City Hall Square and cuts its way across the heart of the city center. So this is a purely pedestrian street, really bustling with lots of shops and restaurants. There's not a lot of sunshine here though, given the narrow nature of the road and the sun not being too high in the sky yet. It is pretty shadowed at this point. So it's definitely a touristy street, but this is pretty much your main street down through Copenhagen. Most major businesses, some of the best restaurants, they're all located on this road. So it does cater to tourism and commerce. Bustling place. So this is called the Gammeltorv. Beautiful little square here. And that's the Nyhavn right there. So I guess 2 adjacent squares from what I'm gathering. Yeah, you don't have to walk far. I barely walked, 500 meters and another beautiful city square. So Gammeltorv, Copenhagen, right here. There's also an abundance of American and other high-end stores here, along with European chains. Foot Locker there in the distance. You get the idea. Again, this is not exactly what I'm looking for when I came to Copenhagen, so I'm not really, a shopper, so I'm not really going to jump into the Levi's over there or anything. But I am coming up on one of the city's most beautiful churches right there in the distance. This is Amalienborg, another beautiful square here with a fountain. Beautiful spot. Amalienborg. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but feel free to correct me in the comments below. All right, this is the Nikolai Kunsthal, or the Nikolai Gallery, basically, art museum. And this is an old church that's been repurposed into one of the city's finest art museums. So I'm going to go try to find myself some smørrebrød, which is one of Denmark's most famous dishes, basically open-faced sandwiches of many varieties. So I heard there's a really good place about 2 blocks away. All right, this is the Magasin du Nord department store. Huge. Prices are ridiculously high though. The smørrebrød is like less than the size of my palm, and it's about $20, so insane. 15 to 20 bucks for an open-faced sandwich, less than the size of my palm. That's something else. I'm hungry, but I don't know if I'm that hungry. Definitely not going to pay 15 bucks for that, so wow. They also have a branch of Joe and the Juice, which I have not been to since the last time I was in Copenhagen, but I'm going to get a coffee here for sure while I'm in the area. All right, so this was 44 Danish kroner for a latte, 12-ounce latte, $8. So that is insane anywhere in the world. So welcome to Denmark. So that was probably the second most expensive cup of coffee I've ever had in my life. It doesn't beat the $12 latte from Starbucks in Oslo, Norway. That was extortionate. That's one of the reasons why I packed my own French press and coffee for this trip, because I know from experience Scandinavia has some of the most expensive coffee in the world. So this is Kongen Nyhavn, or the King's New Square, just short of Nyhavn. Got a statue of the king right there and a small little garden area surrounded by beautiful buildings too. And this is pretty much Copenhagen's answer to Amsterdam. Beautiful colored buildings lining the canal here. There are canal cruises. I went on one of those back in 2015. Probably going to skip out this time because it would be a repeat for me. And I'm trying to save my cash so I can invest it in Greenland adventures when I head there. Ironically, even though it is October 19th today, it's actually a much warmer and more pleasant day than the time I was here back in June of 2015 when it was really rainy and quite cold. You can see just how many tourists are around here though. It's a beautiful spot. And there's the canal tour boat. So there are some old-fashioned boats here, I guess. Some more rustic boats lined up along the canal. Don't really feel the urge to do a repeat visit on the canal, but it is worthwhile, so do check it out if you're in Copenhagen for sure. So as you can see, Nyhavn is very colorful. So many different colorful buildings lining the canal here. There's a lot of alfresco eateries here, people enjoying the sunshine on a relatively warm fall afternoon here in Copenhagen. So it's one of those places that's pretty effortlessly charming, as you can see, though it is very touristy and prices to match. So they're actually charging $40 here for an open-faced sandwich, which is unbelievable. So it's actually pretty long. I would say it's a good, I don't know, about 700 meters or so from end to end. The other side is not as colorful, that's for sure. There's some, but not as much. And thankfully, the mid-afternoon light is illuminating all the colors here very nicely. So afternoon is probably the best time to come down here to Nyhavn. All right, I've made it down here to Amalienborg, and this is the royal residence of the royal family of Denmark. You can pretty much just walk right in and explore the grounds. So each of these are different palaces that belong to the royal family, kind of ring around the center square here. And I've heard that they have a changing of the guard here. I'm not sure exactly when, but I knew that they do. I did attend one of those in Sweden, so I'm sure it's very similar. You can see the guard posts right there. And right there in the distance is the Marmorkirchen, which is pretty much just a dome by the looks of it. Not much church to it, just a dome. Gives it an almost Vatican City feel in miniature, I suppose. So definitely beautiful royal residences. And it is pretty crazy to me that they just let you wander right through here. But I suppose it's a good way to, I guess, keep their power in check, in a sense. They're not trying to be oppressive, but kind of welcoming you to get up close and personal to their lives. And there are, again, guards that watch over them, but yeah, it's not an oppressive atmosphere or anything like that. It's quite trusting. All right, I am heading over to the Little Mermaid statue now, which is about 1 kilometer further up the coast. So I'm going to head north here and hopefully find it. It's right next to the Citadel, kind of at the north end of the city center. So this is the entrance here to the Citadel, which I'm going to skip today because I just don't have the time. But I'm going to be heading through the park, at least to check out the Little Mermaid statue, which, as you can see, is a huge hit with tourists. Lots of tour buses here to drop people off to see it. It's made Disney a ton of money. So if you weren't aware that the Little Mermaid was Danish, now you do. A little fountain here at the entrance. And it's just about a 5-minute walk up the road. So some good views here of the moat surrounding the Citadel, which is just right over there. And if I follow this path, I should be at the Little Mermaid statue very shortly here. So Copenhagen is on the eastern side of the island of Zealand, which is basically just to the east of Jutland. And Jutland is actually attached to the European mainland. Zealand is not. So Copenhagen is an island city in a sense. And right across from here, just to the east, is the Öresund, which on the other side, you'll find the city of Malmö, Sweden, which I hope to visit. I hope I find enough time here on this trip to pop over the Öresund and check out Malmö. I've never been there before, so that would be new to me. So this whole area is evidently called the Langelinie-parken, or Langelinie Park. And you can see there's other monuments here, such as this angel. Again, a lot of oxidation on that one. Turned green over the years. It was likely copper bronze colored back in its day. And I got about 200 more meters till I come up to the Hans Christian Andersen Little Mermaid sculpture. And good views of the Copenhagen coastline right here. And that is the Little Mermaid statue on that rock just off the shore with all the people surrounding it. So you don't really have to guess where it is, just follow the crowds. All right, there it is. I honestly don't remember coming here last time, but I know I did, so I think a boat might have dropped me off here last time. I cannot remember. You can see this canal cruise coming by to take a look at it. I'd actually thought I'd be taking public transit a lot more on this trip, but I walked pretty much the whole way here from Copenhagen Central Station. So it's definitely a walkable city. Everything is so compact here that all of the sites that you want to see are pretty much right next to each other and often in a straight line, so walking is probably the best way to see them. That said, I walked about 3 kilometers or so, 2.5, from the central station to here, the Little Mermaid statue. So I'm going to walk to the nearest bus stop, which is about 500 meters, I guess, to the west, and then take a bus back to the heart of the city center. All right, the sun is beginning to set. I gotta make a move on it here if I want to see the round tower before dark. I'm gonna take the train to save some time. Sun sets in about 1 hour, so I'm really pushing it, but I'm hoping that I can still fit in a visit to the round tower and also the Rosenborg Castle, Rosenborg Slot. And I got about 1.5 hours left on this day pass, so this should cover the fare at least. All right, I am here at Nordaport Station, which is only about a 5-minute walk from both the Round Tower and Rosenborg Slot, or Rosenborg Castle. And boy, the sun is going down fast now. Little flower market. There are so many charming squares here in Copenhagen, I can't even keep track of them all, but beautiful. It was actually closer than I had anticipated. It was just around the corner, and this here is the Round Tower. There is an observation deck at the very top. I'm not going to go up at this hour, and I can't remember if I've been up this before, but in any case, it is one of the city's most popular observation decks, and just 40 krone for the view. I believe it's closed now, though I'm not too sure, but I do want to see the Rosenborg Slot before the sun sets completely. So I'm really just racing around town trying to soak in as much as I can before I leave for Greenland. Pretty impressive tower. I would have liked to do a lot more here in Copenhagen, but because it is, mid-fall at this point, the days are just so short. Unfortunately, it gets dark like 5:45, 6 o'clock, and I did a lot of walking today, so that slowed me down a little bit. I would have liked to get down to Freetown, Christiania, but unfortunately, I read online that you can't even take cameras there without really risking, some altercations. So I just figured, man, it's not worth it if I can't film it or photograph it. But in any case, because I'm pressed for time, tried to see as much as I could, but I know this is not the thorough Copenhagen tour that you deserve, but I hope at least it gives you some insight of what to see and do in the city if you're pressed for time, like on a long layover. So it looks like it is open, but just for the sake of time, I'm going to skip out on the observation deck. But it is here, and it's 40 krone if you are interested in attending it at some point on your travels. All right, I tried to make it down here before dark to no avail, but this is Rosenborg Castle. It is an example of, I believe, 18th century Dutch architecture. Really interesting. I'm using the iPhone right now because it's a bit better performing at night, but apologies if it's shaky. Well, that is pretty much all from me for tonight. I'm going to head back to my hotel and get a good night's sleep before my flight to Greenland tomorrow. Stay tuned for pretty much one of the adventures of my lifetime.